mad for? What am I gonna do out there, Ray? I can't go home to my mama like this.
And I went to the bus station and I asked the white man, I said, can I get a ticket to Hollywood? He said, no. And he said, you can go to Los Angeles. I said, California? He said, yes. Okay, give me a ticket. What I didn't know, which I'm gonna skip ahead, was I was at Trailways. Trailways goes to downtown LA, 6th and Main, the worst street in the United States at the time, Skid Row.
Skid Row.
Miguel A. Nunez Jr. has faced some truly heartbreaking moments in his life. What struggles has he endured behind the scenes that many fans don't know about? From personal battles to professional setbacks, his story is filled with shocking twists.
I know good and goddamn well that you don't need no mother groceries. What happened?
Little ignorant woman.
How did these experiences shape the person he is today? Let's explore the untold tragedies in his life.
I was born in New York. I was born in Manhattan, New York.
So what happened to Miguel after the laughs died down and the wig came off? Well, life wasn't always easy for him. He faced some tough times, including being homeless and even getting involved in shoplifting. Miguel's early life is also interesting. He was born in New York City on August 11, 1964, to an African-American mother, Betty G. Nome, and a Dominican father. But he didn't grow up in New York City. Instead, he was raised by his grandparents on a farm in Wilson, North Carolina. It wasn't a life of luxury. He worked hard on that farm, doing things like picking cucumbers, beans, and tobacco. He also worked in a tobacco factory from morning until night. It was a tough life, but it helped shape who he became.
As soon as we got 3 years old, she gave us to our grandmother in North Carolina. Next, she had seven. I got 7 brothers, 1 sister. Everybody 1 year apart, and then she gave them to us. So we all ended up in Wilson. So
it's 8 of y'all?
Yeah. So
It's
I
8
grew
of
up
us.
in Wilson, North Carolina, deep in the.
Honey, I'm...
Miguel's mother had her own remarkable story too. She was quite beautiful and talented. At just 17 years old, she moved to New York and caught the attention of famous people, including James Brown, one of the biggest stars of the time. She even went on to write one of his most famous songs, It's a Man's World. Imagine that. Miguel's mom wrote a song that became a classic. It's no surprise that Miguel, with his unique background, has such star power in his DNA.
I was raised on a farm. My mother was raised there with her grandparents. My mother, who I just moved in with me now, I should come meet at some point. My mother ran away from home at 16 years old. And she ran away from New York. She ended up meeting James Brown, and that's how she became the writer of his #1 hit, It's a Man's World.
Before Miguel became well known, he worked in a variety of roles in movies and TV shows. He's remembered for his roles in Return of the Living Dead, Tour of Duty, and Street Fighter. He was always a busy actor, appearing in a range of productions and making a name for himself in Hollywood. But despite the fame, his personal life wasn't always easy. The highs and lows in his career reflect the challenges he faced off-screen.
Because you had these dreams so early, didn't you have a nickname? What they call you?
Hollywood. Hollywood knew.
There's a lot about Miguel's life that people don't know, but he's not afraid to talk about it. He's been through a lot, from tough childhood days working on a farm to facing struggles in Hollywood. Now, what I am about to talk about is one of those stories that feels like it could be straight out of a soap opera or a gossip magazine. But believe it or not, this one is real and it's got some serious drama.
It was rumored too that, it got all out in the press that Miguel Nunez arrested for...
I did not know I was famous until that happened.
Well, you weren't until that happened.
Picture this. Miguel was just doing a normal thing, going to the grocery store. He walked into Ralph's, grabbed his groceries, and started heading out. But then things took a strange turn. According to the story, Miguel tried to leave without paying for hundreds of dollars worth of items. Yeah, you read that right. It's like something you'd expect in a movie, but this was real life.
I know good and goddamn well that you don't need no groceries. What happened?
Little ignorant woman.
TMZ, the famous gossip website, got hold of this story and it blew up. The headline was huge, but here's where it gets interesting. Miguel came back to the store a few days later to pay, but the store wasn't having it. They called the cops on him, and he ended up with a misdemeanor shoplifting ticket. However, Miguel swears he didn't steal anything. He says it wasn't about taking anything without paying, but rather, he was just tired of waiting in a long line at the store. He told the store that he planned to come back and pay later. Miguel explained that when he went into the store, there was a huge line. His credit card didn't work, and the cashier wouldn't let him leave his groceries behind to get his car. After arguing with her, Miguel says he just pushed the cart out of the store and left. He came back later to pay, but the store wasn't happy about it. They told him he couldn't just leave and come back whenever he wanted. Things got messy from there.
But the police said, hold on, don't worry about it. This happened 100 times. Like, I got this. He came back and said, dude, have you had any conversations with this woman before? I said, why? He said, because, we supposed to just get the money from you and give it to her. She said she don't want it.
The police got involved, but because of the pandemic, the situation was a bit more lenient. They didn't send him to jail, even though it could have turned out differently. Miguel says the police were understanding and let him go, saying this kind of thing happens a lot. In the end, he didn't have to face serious consequences. So was it a misunderstanding, or was Miguel really trying to pull a fast one? We may never know. Now let's talk about Miguel Nunez Jr.'s journey to Hollywood, which is nothing short of wild. Imagine this. 1 minute, he's starring in movies like Friday the 13th and The Return of the Living Dead. But what most people didn't know was that while he was acting in these big films, he was also struggling to survive. Yep, you heard that right. Miguel was homeless.
I made 3 bologna sandwiches. I packed a suitcase, wrote a note to my grandparents, said I'm going to Hollywood to make something out of myself. That's all I said.
So how much was the check?
$127.
Miguel has been through a lot to get to where he is now. In fact, at the start of his career, he was so broke that he had to sell his own blood plasma just to make ends meet. This was my bank account. I sold my blood plasma for food, Miguel shared. It was that bad. Even though he was in big movies, he had no place to live and no money. Can you believe it? He was literally living on the streets of Los Angeles, especially in places like Skid Row.
I asked the white man, I said, can I get a ticket to Hollywood? He said, no. And he said, you can go to Los Angeles. I said, California. He said, yes. Okay, give me a ticket. What I didn't know, which I'm gonna skip ahead, was I was at Trailways. Trailways goes to downtown LA, 6th and Main, the worst street in the United States at the time, Skid Row.
For a while, Miguel had to sleep on benches and in bus stations. Imagine trying to sleep in a cold, busy place where there's no comfort. It was hard for him. He said, I didn't know you could go anywhere in Hollywood, so I spent my time on Skid Row. He was trying to make it as an actor, but life had other plans. He had to find a way to survive in a city that can be tough, especially for someone who was just starting out.
Greyhound went to Hollywood. So when he said no, I thought you had to be an actor to get into Hollywood. That's how naive I was.
Eventually, he found a shelter to stay in, but it wasn't much better. The shelter he went to wasn't even clean. It was dirty with rats everywhere, Miguel remembered. He had to go through a tough process just to get inside. Sometimes they even had to spray people with poison to keep the bugs away. But no matter how tough things got, Miguel kept pushing through. Even when he had to go on welfare to survive, he didn't give up on his dream of becoming an actor. When he sleeps on buses to stay warm, he would sit in the back seat near the engine, where the heat from the engine kept him warm in the cold nights. I remember waking up as the bus was parked downtown, he said. One night, while wandering around the streets, a man approached him and asked what he was doing out there. Miguel, being honest and open, told the man his whole story. He explained he had come to LA to become an actor, but had nowhere to stay and no clothes since his suitcase was stuck in a locker that he couldn't open anymore. The man offered Miguel a place to stay. Miguel, being very naive at the time, was excited and thought he was being helped out of kindness. As they were walking, the man suddenly stopped and told Miguel, "You can't stay with me." Miguel didn't understand why and thought it was because he talked too much, something his grandma always used to tell him. He promised to stay quiet, but the man said, "No, that's not it. Miguel, growing up in a small town, didn't understand what gay meant. He thought the man meant happy and said, "I'm happy too." The man then explained he was attracted to men. Miguel finally understood, but didn't judge him. Instead, he thanked him for being honest. What happened next surprised Miguel. The man gave him $20 and some advice. He told Miguel not to trust strangers, to walk around during the day when it was safer, and to find somewhere to sleep at night. Even though the man didn't take him in, he still helped Miguel in a way Miguel never forgot. He kept working toward his goals.
I graduated and I was working at a tobacco warehouse.
Yeah.
Right? And I got my check and I was like, whoa! And I'd already planned on what I was gonna do in the summer, and I was like, and I know it was God.
People didn't think he would make it because he was black. A lot of people didn't think he would make it because he was black. But guess what? He proved them all wrong. He heard the same thing every person hears when they're trying to chase a dream. You're too skinny. You're too poor. You're too black. You'll never make it. People told him, there's no way you're going to become a successful actor.
I said, hey, and I talked like this when I first got here. My nickname when I first got on Skid Row was Country Boy. So, because I talked this like this.
When he left his hometown in North Carolina, the same negativity followed him. You're too skinny. You're too black. How are you ever gonna make it? But he didn't let that stop him. He didn't let the negative voices drown out his own. He knew deep down that he was going to make it. He wasn't just hoping for it. He knew it. There's a big difference between hoping for something and knowing you will get it. He believed in himself when no one else did. Here's the lesson. Don't let anyone tell you what you can or cannot do. People will always have their opinions, and they might try to convince you that your dreams are impossible. But if you believe in yourself, you can make anything happen. This guy started with nothing. Every step he took seemed like a failure. But that didn't stop him. He kept pushing forward because he knew he was meant for something big.
So I spent my time Skid Row, and I was sleeping downtown. I was sleeping behind the bus station, and the guy said, young man, what are you doing out here? My name is Miguel Nunez. I'm 640 Cemetery Street, Western North Carolina. I came here to be an actor. He would go, oh, God. And I would never understood why everybody was going, oh, God.
Miguel has faced some tough personal challenges, especially when it comes to relationships. One of the hardest times in his life came after his divorce. In a candid interview, he opened up about the emotional toll it took on him. Miguel shared that when his marriage ended, it felt just as devastating to him as it might feel to any woman. Many people think divorce affects women more than men, but Miguel revealed that men can struggle just as much. In fact, he wasn't alone. He had friends who went through the same feelings of pain, including the dark thought of ending their own lives. Miguel admitted that at one point he seriously thought about suicide. He said he was not the only one. At least 3 of his close friends felt the same way. His marriage lasted for 15 years, so the pain of it ending was huge. He explained that he had been away a lot, working on plays. For months at a time, he was on the road and not home with his wife or children. This, he believes, may have led to problems in the marriage. He felt like he wasn't there when he should have been, especially when his kids were very young. Although he didn't deny that his wife had valid feelings, he also felt that being away for so long was a big part of what caused the breakup. However, Miguel also said that there's more to the story. His wife was not in the entertainment industry. She didn't fully understand the demands of his work, which often kept him away from home. Looking back, Miguel realized that he could have done more to make sure his family felt supported, even when he was away. He mentioned that he could have invited his wife to come with him on the road, or found other ways to stay connected. But at the same time, he felt hurt and confused by what had happened. He had to face the fact that his wife had a baby with someone else while he was away, and this hurt him deeply.
I saw from being here, the finish line.
Also back in 2019, Miguel was in a bad car accident and broke both his ankles. To fix them, doctors had to put in metal screws, rods, and plates. Now his ankles are part human, part machine. Miguel jokes that if he ever kicks someone, it might hurt even more because of the metal. But having bionic ankles isn't always fun. Every time he goes through airport security, the alarms go off. He laughs about how he has to explain, "It's my ankles." The security guards are usually surprised and have to check to believe it. It's just one of those things Miguel takes in stride, always with a smile and a story to tell. What's even more amazing is Miguel's overall health. He hasn't been sick in 30 years. No cold, no flu, nothing. The only time he's been unwell was when he caught COVID-19 twice. But even then, he didn't know he had it. He says he felt fine and would have kept living normally if he hadn't been tested. At 60 years old, Miguel has energy that could make young people jealous. He doesn't work out, but he challenges anyone to a game of basketball. He's confident they'd be out of breath before him. It's all in your mind, Miguel says. He believes staying positive and keeping a good attitude is what keeps him feeling so young. Miguel also shared a fascinating idea about laughter. He mentioned a documentary about people who live to be over 100 years old. The researchers found one thing in common. They all laughed a lot. Miguel agrees, saying laughter is the secret to staying happy and healthy. Whether he's watching a funny TV show or cracking jokes, he believes laughter is like medicine for the soul.
Don't say it for. What am I gonna do out there, Ray? I can't go home to my mama like this.
One of his most talked about performances was playing Biscuit, a character in the movie Life, 1999, alongside Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence. Some actors might feel nervous about taking on such a role, but Miguel handled it with confidence and grace. When Miguel was given the script for Life, he had the chance to pick which character he wanted to play. He chose Biscuit because he felt the role had the most emotional depth. While other characters had funny moments, Biscuit's story was more heartfelt and allowed Miguel to showcase his dramatic skills. For example, many fans remember the emotional impact of Biscuit's scenes and how the character added a touching layer to the movie.
Where are you going, boy? Don't do that, do it! Don't do that!
Miguel also used his position to help other actors. He spoke about helping his friend Bear get a role in the movie. Bear struggled to even get an audition, but Miguel recommended him to the casting team. After an audition at Universal Studios, Bear landed the role. Miguel was proud to help a friend break into the industry, even though another actor, Tiny Lister, teased him about it later. Some people might wonder if playing a character led to rumors about Miguel's own sexuality. Surprisingly, it didn't. Miguel believes this is because people who know him personally understand who he is. However, Miguel has always emphasized love and acceptance. He made it clear that he respects and supports everyone, no matter their identity. If you're gay, you're gay. If you're trans, he said. God teaches us to love our neighbors, and I love everyone. For Miguel, playing Biscuit wasn't just another role. It was a chance to show his acting range and highlight an important message about love and humanity. Miguel's role on Juwanna Mann faced a lot of criticism and backlash too. The movie is about a basketball player who pretends to be a woman to play in the women's league after being banned from the men's.
Juwanna Mann.
Yes. I was not right for that too, is told.
What?
While the movie is funny and entertaining, it sparked conversations about men playing women's roles and black men wearing dresses in Hollywood.
You kind of created me. You're Frankenstein.
Oh, God. Miguel had strong opinions on the matter. He said acting is about playing a character, and in a comedy like Juwanna Mann, wearing a dress was part of the role. He compared it to Martin Lawrence dressing as Big Mama in Big Mama's House.
Let me just make it to the bathroom before I lose my bowels all over myself.
Miguel explained that dressing as a woman for a comedic role is different from personal self-expression, like wearing a dress on the red carpet. One is acting, the other is a choice, he said. Some people believe there's a plot to make strong black men appear less masculine by putting them in dresses. Miguel disagreed, saying no one is forcing actors into these roles. If someone offers you a part, you have the right to say no, he added.
Where are you going, boy? Don't do that, do it! Don't do that!
When it comes to his career, Miguel Nunez Jr. is one of talent, versatility, and passion for acting. Whether it's comedy or drama, Miguel proves he can do it all. During an interview when asked if he prefers comedy or drama, Miguel said it doesn't matter. He can take the same lines and make you laugh or cry just by changing how he delivers them. That's real talent. He was even nominated for his dramatic work on Tour of Duty. On the other hand, Sparks, a sitcom, showcased his comedic timing. For Miguel, the challenge isn't about the type of role, it's about doing it well. Comedy, Miguel says, is harder than drama. Why? Because comedy has a rhythm, like music. It's not just about saying funny things, it's about timing and flow. Miguel often teaches acting and explains that making people laugh requires understanding the scene and knowing your role. Sometimes in comedy, you're not supposed to be the funny one, he shared. You need to let the jokes flow naturally. Miguel's ability to ad-lib, making up lines on the spot, is one of his strengths. On the set of Sparks, the producers trusted him so much they banned other actors from doing it. They knew Miguel could improvise without ruining the scene's rhythm. In one movie, he added a hilarious line during a zombie scene that wasn't in the script. It fit perfectly and made everyone laugh. That's the magic of understanding comedy. But Miguel isn't just about making people laugh. He's also worked with greats like Bernie Mac. When asked if he could bring back one person from the past, Miguel chose Bernie without hesitation. Bernie was one of the nicest guys in Hollywood, Miguel said. Despite his fame, Bernie stayed true to his values. He was a family man who didn't let Hollywood change him. Fast forward to today and he's still in the game. You might be asking, what's he up to now? Well, he's been flexing his acting skills with a recurring role on The Family Business. It didn't exactly make headlines or set the world on fire, but it's work, and that's important. It's a step forward, and that's what matters. But he's not just sitting around waiting for the next acting gig to come in. No, he's got bigger plans. He's been working behind the scenes as a producer. He's keeping it low-key, but trust me, he's still making moves in the industry. And here's something cool. He even has his own shoe line. Yep, he's been wearing his own shoes everywhere he goes. Talk about turning dreams into reality, right? He's showing the world that success isn't just about one thing. It's about creating your own path and sticking with it. So what's next for Miguel Nunez Jr. will keep surprising us, telling his story, and maybe even making us laugh again. One thing's for sure, his life is anything but boring.